that. Just right in there.
There you go. Well, let's start. We got to get this out of the way. The group chat has been waiting for the Bob review, the movie, the cinematic minute.
Are we starting with our Siskel and Ebert moment?
We have to do it.
Fine, let's do this.
But we need to start with this because I think it's topical. And I don't even know how we get to the other conversations before unleashing this take.
You have the best transitions in the business. So.
Yes.
Yeah, let me say that because movies now often premiere on streaming platforms and pay-per-view services before going to the theaters or while they're going to the theaters, and there isn't this very set system that we used to have in which a big movie would appear in a theater, then you wait, I don't know, 3 months, 4 months till it comes out on DVD or you can rent it.
I miss Blockbuster.
Yeah, sure, Blockbuster, or even the old Netflix in which they would send you a DVD in the mail. But there was a clear system where, okay, here's a Blockbuster movie. I don't want to pay $10 to go see it in a movie theater. But I'm interested. I'm curious. My movie fandom is piqued by this. I want to watch it. So I will spend $4 to rent it at Blockbuster or $2.95 to get a DVD from Netflix. That's gone. And movies simply appear on one of the many streaming platforms that I overpay for. And I go, oh, right, that. I guess I should watch it. I'll watch that. It's late at night. I'm falling asleep. I'll watch that as I go to bed. So, I finally, the Air movie, which was, again, as we have just learned from my somehow absorption of Nancy Pelosi's appear on a Sunday morning news show, I enjoyed the memes when they came out. I enjoyed the images of Ben Affleck wearing a tracksuit. I enjoyed Matt Damon in a fat suit. I got all that. And I said, okay.
Matt Damon waddling around is kind of hilarious.
It is very funny. Matt Damon trying to make himself look unattractive by wearing a fat suit.
But it was it felt like it was more of a chubby suit than a fat suit.
Yeah, he wasn't Brendan Fraser in The Wailing it. He wasn't really, but Sonny Vaccaro wasn't morbidly obese or anything, but okay. Although he was a middle-aged bald man at the time that he signed Jordan, so it would take a lot of CGI and or industrial light and magic to get Matt Damon to look like Sonny Vaccaro. But so here's the story of how Nike came up with the Air Jordan shoe. I think also just before we even get into that, I think it is quite hilarious that we used to have biopics of people like, say, I don't know, Muhammad Ali or Ray Charles or Johnny Cash or whomever. And now we have biopics about products like a shoe or a BlackBerry. That aside, that was the most cynical and idiotic movie I've ever seen. The entire movie was a series of, hey, remember? Hey, remember when we used to do aerobics? Hey, remember the song Big Country by Big Country? Hey, do you remember? Remember when Phil Knight used to wear sneakers to office? Hey, remember? Remember this? Remember that? And it was like the entire movie was dangling a set of keys in front of audiences members who can remember things that what happened in the 80s. All of which leading up to this wholly undeserved speech that Matt Damon gives, where suddenly he's Nostradamus and he can see into the future and be like, you will be risen to great heights. You will change the world. You will elevate the American spirit, and then that same American spirit will try to destroy you because fame is a mask that corrupts, and that is what Americans do. We re-elevate our heroes to the promised land and then drag them back down to And I'm like, even if I'm willing to suspend disbelief and bind the idea that no, Sonny Vaccaro never said that in his entire life. That was not the speech that convinced Jordan to sign with Nike. I'm willing to let that go. I was like, screw you. You did not earn that speech. You did not. The movie did not build to a point where I am okay accepting the fact of that speech. There is a much more interesting movie to be made about Dolores Jordan and her relationship to her son. That would be a cool movie. And they tried to prestige the hell out of it by shoehorning in scenes where Regina King is capital A acting and she tries her level best.
You mean Viola Davis? Get your black
Viola
actors right, Bob. Racist.
Wow, I did a racism.
Anyway.
Damn it! My whole rant is ruined by racism.
Anyway,
yes, Viola Davis, not Regina King. Sorry, I knew that. Sorry. But boy, are both Damon. But speaking, who isn't capital A acting? Needs boy are Damon and Affleck phoning it in. All of their scenes are like, hey, remember Matt Damon and Ben Affleck in Good Will Hunting? Remember? I'm sorry. It was a poorly constructed. I was like, what? Why should I care? There are no stakes in this movie. Why should I care whether the one stake, by the way, which is Michael Jordan working out a deal to get Michael Jordan's family working out a deal to get a percentage of Nike sales with his name on the shoe in perpetuity. That is an actual sea change in how sports marketing is done, how athletes are marketed, and the value of athletes. There are actual stakes and something interesting. They just sort of drop that in the last 10 minutes of the movie. But the actual point, which shoe brand will Michael Jordan sign with? Don't care. No one cares. The audience isn't made to care. It is the movie is an advertisement for Nike, and it is not even done well. Like, they should have brought back Whedon and Kennedy to just make an actual advertisement, because this wasn't it. I hated it so much. And that's even with noted character actor Matthew Mosier playing the shoe genius. Matthew Mosier, by the way, excellent actor. I knew him casually back in the New York Downtown Theater days. And I was contemplating.
As a close personal friend?
Not a close personal friend. I'd call him an acquaintance and a professional acquaintance. Thank you very much. But I contemplated digging up his email and being like, yo, what was it like making this movie? So I could get some inside dope on it, but I did not do that. But in any case, as the Gene Siskel who hates everything on this pod, I give it a huge thumbs down. I found it execrable, and I want it to be burned with fire. Andrew Hammond.
Wow. Yeah. Here's where Bob and I get along.
Hey, remember Chris Tucker? Remember?
So you remember that movie, The Post?
Yeah, that sucked too.
You remember that movie,
Never saw
The
it.
Monuments Men?
Never saw
I
it.
didn't see it, but it looked bad.
So here's where
We missed a moment for I remember, but continue.
yeah. So basically,
Remember the Pentagon Papers?
that too.
Yeah. That's what
you can't. It's not a buddy movie, but it's definitely like a. Hey,
don't make me go Jeremy Strong. Dramaturgically, it does not make sense.
No. Here's where I'm going, Bob. Here's where I'm going.
Go. I'm sorry, I'm not.
Maintain low tones.
Quiet coyote, Bob. Quiet coyote.
Here's where I agree with Bob. He's absolutely right. And like all the movies that I said that, Monuments Men, The Post, The Pentagon Papers, Air, they all have the same. Oh, Babylon, which I have a take on Babylon, but we can save that for another show. Here's where Great idea on paper. On paper. Great idea.
If you told me that AI wrote that movie, I would believe it.
But the problem is, it was like everybody in a really, really super famous group chat was like, damn, this is a great idea for a movie. We should do it. And you're just, I feel like the Last Dance kind of, it was basically a Michael Jordan commercial.
Right.
We can all recognize that.
Right. But it was a well-executed Michael Jordan commercial.
Very well executed. The problem with Air, okay, so this is where Bob and I disagree with. This is where Bob and I are on.
We differ.
Yeah.
We part ways.
If you came into this expecting some intricate story, detailed story, yeah.
I was expecting okay, the thing that sent me over the edge was Matt Damon in some interview being like, well, we didn't want this to be, we felt this was a real story about Black empowerment. And we didn't want this to be the story of like a bunch of white guys profiting off this shoe. And I was like, but it was that.
It was.
And I was
I'm
like,
glad I didn't hear that, because I would have
pat yourself on the back for, again, shoehorning in the actual interesting story in the last. Sorry, spoiler alert for people who haven't seen Air. The only interesting part happens in a phone call and then is quickly resolved by Ben Affleck meditating on a couch.
Here's where all those movies that I talked about before, it is I wouldn't say unintentional. It is unabashed Oscar porn. It is, if you put that movie in October or November, there's going to be an Oscar machine behind it. But the problem is, it's just, if you had told me that they're going to do a story about it, I'm interested. I'm interested in, because I think there's an interesting story with Dolores Jordan and Michael.
Yes.
But there's also an interesting story with the creation of Nike, i.e. Shoe Dog, which arguably might be one of the best sports adjacent and business books in the last 50 years. The problem is,
it's not about that book.
You know what I'm saying? But you tried to mesh both of those in this story as you're talking about Michael Jordan, and it's just like, great, awesome, but they don't stick the landing. And the problem is, even the start was bad. The middle was fascinating because you kind of get in that sports business sense, but you don't stick the landing. And we knew it was going to be basically a Nike commercial, an Air Jordan commercial. We knew that going into it, but it was just like, fine. Like it's fine on an initial watch, but the rewatchability of it, no. And the speech is also, can we just give credit to Jason Bateman, who might be my favorite character? Him and Chris Messina are my favorite characters in the movie.
That's not what David Falk is like. If you're going to base this on real, if this is a true story ripped from the headlines, that's not what David Falk was like, and Sonny Vaccaro, he is not an angel dropped straight from heaven.
No, he knows where the bodies are buried. Wanna know why?
There it is. There's interesting stuff there about
he buried some of them.
Right, like Sonny Vaccaro as a morally compromised figure in all kinds of ways. I was like, okay, that's cool, that's interesting, but no, here is humble, hangdog, frumpy Matt Damon, who has the foresight to see that Michael Jordan was going to be the greatest basketball player of all time. By the way, in reality, the Bulls were offered the pick that became Barkley and Julius Erving for Michael Jordan after the draft, or before the draft, rather. So a couple of other people had a pretty good idea how good Jordan was going to be too. It wasn't just Sonny Vaccaro being like, I alone can see.
Scottie Pippen didn't see it coming.
Well, Scottie Pippen is really bad online these days, and he's mad at everybody. That's
well. To be fair, if your wife was basically just like, never mind, not gonna go there. Nope.
Yeah, let's not.
Nope.
We're
I'm
not
gonna drink
go.
a Red Bull.
We're not going to drink a Red Bull.
For some reason, something that rhymes with the word puck comes to mind.
Wow. It's like, and by the way, for those of you listening and not watching, Andrew's in fact doing the Kermit Drinking Tea meme right now.
Find the lie.
Yeah. Okay. In any case, I was like Sonny Vaccaro as a morally compromised and complex person. There's an interesting movie also, but they didn't do that.
Well, it also requires Sonny not to be involved in the project, probably. It involves...
yeah.
Because he's not going down that road.
Sure, not. But, I mean, they even need to throw in, like, oh, yeah, he also testified in the Ed O'Bannon case that eventually led to the college players being given.
I thought that part was hilarious. I'm just like, okay.
Wow. You haven't polished this turd enough. You need to throw that in at the end too.
It's like, but it's kind of like, okay, cool. You
are attempting to say that Sonny Vaccaro was you're painting him like he's the great emancipator, and I'm like, nope. I mean, yes, biopics of all sorts take liberties with the truth, but this was a bridge too far.
But here's the thing: was he very pro college kids deserve a cut?
Yeah,
absolutely.
He was.
But let's not act like he is Father Flanagan or Frumpy Father Flanagan.
Right.
Yeah, he's like I said, he knows where some of the bodies are buried.
That's what it means by
the reason I'm like.
That's what I mean. Like, this is so cynical. I was like, yeah, okay. The Last Dance is a good comparison because sure, everyone loves Michael Jordan, but there is an entire generation for whom he is a figure of the past and doesn't know him other than, oh, that's the guy whose name is on my shoe, and who didn't watch him play, and maybe they watch YouTube highlights, but there are whole generations of fans for whom Michael Jordan is as far removed from the current game as Wilt Chamberlain is. And so if you're going to do a documentary about Jordan, that's cool. That's informative, especially because you've got all of these tapes that have never been seen before. So here's a peek about what this portion of Michael Jordan's life was like. Cool. Who are you trying to sell with this movie? Who and what are you actually trying to sell me? Jordan shoes? Okay. Do you want to get into how Nike and the Jordan brand dominate the shoe market now? Do you want to know, that is a whole other kettle of fish, and it's not a pretty story, but they still dominate the market. If the question is how did Nike get to this place? You didn't even begin to tell that story. So that's why I feel like it's a commercial for nothing. And that's why I felt icky after watching it. It just was an unpleasant experience all around. If you're going to do that, then at least do it well. Anyway, yeah.
It's Oscar porn.
No one is giving this movie an Oscar.
Oh that's what I'm saying. It's Oscar porn on because you're just like, guess what? We have all of these actors in this movie, and I'm just supposed to. It's kind of like Team USA circa 2000. I'm going to roll the ball out there. You give me the list of names. You give me a halfway decent, compelling story in the view of Oscar voters, because this is how they vote. But the problem is you've seen it like the movies I listed before. You see the result, and it's just like, oh.
But those are about real things.
I know that, Bob. I'm just saying that
the Post is about exposing the truths about the Vietnam War. That is a real thing that affects millions upon millions, or really billions of people on planet Earth. There is something that's important. Look, let's say in an alternate reality, Jordan does just go with Adidas. Okay. I really don't like Michael Jordan would be less wealthy now. That is the only thing that would have changed.
Yeah.
And fewer people would have bought Air Jordans over the years. Fewer people would have bought Nike shoes. Nike would have been a running company. Okay. Why does not me? Why would anyone care? There's no reason for anyone to care other than the greater glory and exaltation of
That
Nike.
is Jordan.
And well, Jordan, and by attachment, Jordan. But like, I don't. It just felt anyway. I think we've plumbed the depths of this movie, or at least our feelings about it, or at least feelings about it.
Well, that's good. It warmed us up, and I, as a professional here, I can professionally transition us to.
You wanted something good in the A block.
Yes, I did want. Yeah, there you go. B block time. Favorite NBA head coaching hire is which one for you, Andrew Hammond?
The one that should have been made.
Oh, I don't know where you're going with this.
I wanted Monty Williams in Boston so bad.
Oh. Why?
Because Joe just isn't that guy.
Well, he doesn't have a staff anymore because like Ime just took the whole staff.
And that's
to Houston.
The problem. That's where I think the disconnect was when you decided to make Joe Mazzulla the full-time head coach, and you were basically doing all of this, what was it, a month before the season, something like that. So, Damon Stoudemire goes to Georgia Tech, which cool. But to me, that was a sign of, okay, you have assistant coaches that can reach these guys. And one guy that clearly was instrumental for them on the bench was Damon Stoudemire. Now he leaves. And you see, 2 days after